In today's video, we're going to be looking at tuples in Python. If you want to create a list, you use square brackets. But if you want to create tuples, you use parentheses. So let's take a look at this example. So if I have norms is equal to, and I have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. This is a list. But if I want to create a tuple, what I will do is that I'm going to use parentheses instead of square brackets. So I'll have something like this, a parenthesis, then I can put the items that I want to be in the tuple. So this is a tuple and this is a list. Lists and tuples share almost the same characteristics, but there is one striking difference between a list and a tuple. Lists are mutable, which means that you can remove items from a list or make some in-place changes in a list. But tuples are immutable, which means that once you've defined a tuple, you cannot alter the tuple. If you want to create an empty tuple, there are two ways in which you can do so. First, let's say norms is equal to, and then you provide an empty pair of parentheses. So this is an empty tuple. You can also use the tuple function to create an empty tuple. You can have something like norms is equal to, then you put tuple, and then you put a parenthesis. So this also creates an empty tuple. If you want to create a tuple consisting of only one item, this is how you're going to do it. So we can have something like norms is equal to, then we'll put our parentheses. Let's say we want to have 1 as the only item in the tuple. So we'll put 1 inside the parentheses. And then we'll leave a trailing comma. This trailing comma indicates that this is a tuple consisting of only one item. So the next thing that we're going to do is that we're going to learn how to access items from a tuple. And like I said before, tuples and lists share almost the same characteristics, with the exception that tuples are immutable while lists are mutable. So if you want to access items from a tuple, you make use of the indices or the positional indices of the items that you want to access. So let's start by defining a tuple. Let's call this norms, and we'll put our parentheses and then provide the numbers. So we'll have a tuple consisting of 5 numbers. So if you want to access these items, you can access them using their positional indices. So if I want to print the first item in the tuple, I can say print, and then I provide the tuple, which is norms, and then I use a slicing operator and then indicate the position of the item that I want to access. In this case, 0. So that if I run this program, it's going to give me 1. If I want to fetch the second item in the list, I can change this to 1. So that if I run this program, it's going to give me 2. And if I want to fetch the last item, I can change this to 4 and then run the program again. So the outcome is 5. Just like the list, you can also extract or slice portions of items contained in a tuple. So let's give an example. Let's say I want to fetch 1, 2, and 3 from this tuple. I can easily do that using slicing. So let's say result is equal to, then I put the tuple and then provide a square bracket, then indicate the start position, in this case 0, and then the stop position, in this case 3. So that if I print the result and run this program, I'm going to have 1, 2, and 3. Also, you can iterate over a tuple. Just as you can iterate over the items in a list, you can also iterate over the items in a tuple using the for or while loop. So let's use the for loop to iterate over the items in our tuple norms. So I can say for norm in norms, then I provide a colon and say print norm. So if I run this program, it's going to print out for me all the items contained in the tuple 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So tuples and lists are almost identical. The only difference is that tuples are immutable while lists are mutable. In the next video, we're going to be looking at another powerful data structure in Python, which is dictionaries.